Welcome everyone. You made it to episode 3, technically 2, but episode 3. And I hope that the last episode did not trigger you too much. If it did, I truly apologize. Gave you a trigger warning, especially in the description. So make sure you take heed to these trigger warnings, okay? This trigger warning is no different. This episode actually is going to be more triggering than the last episode for most. So this is your trigger warning. We will be discussing sexual assault in this video, okay? Trigger warning. So if you need to cut off this video before I proceed, that is okay. Please do so. So I'm going to give you a second. I'm going to give me a second to gather myself. Okay, you stuck around, you stayed, you're ready. All right, let's get into it. So I am also going to preface this video with, if I get emotional, you're just going to have to bear with me, because shadow work, we work through these things. We do not sweep anything under the rug. We work through our emotions. We feel our emotions and we allow ourselves to go through our emotional state and whatever we need to go through. So I'm going to preface that as well, because some people don't like to see people crying. I don't know if I'm going to end up crying. I have no idea. Okay. And the reason why I'm prefacing this video is because this video took me 3 fucking weeks to record. Okay. 3 weeks today, actually. In this video, again, we will be talking about sexual assault. I will be recounting my sexual assault experience. And not only will we be talking about sexual assault, me recounting my sexual assault experience, but we will be listening to a conversation that I had 3 weeks ago with my assailant, discussing and talking about the incident at hand. I don't know anybody, I've never seen anybody who has done that. I'm not doing this to be innovative. This is not something that I took lightly when I was doing it. This is something that I knew that I had to do in regards to my shadow work. This is part of my healing journey. Your healing journey may not look like that. Your healing journey may not look like you speaking with your assailant in regards to the incidents that happen in your life, okay? So I also want to preface that I am not pushing anybody to do any of this, okay? When I did it, I felt like I was mentally and energetically prepared. And I was, but I did not consider my emotional state. I did not consider whether or not I did, but I didn't think that it was going to emotionally fuck me up the way it did. It knocked me on my ass. Like I said, I have not been able to record anything for 3 weeks. I honestly was supposed to have been finished finished episode maybe 6 by now. And here we are with episode fucking 3, struggling to get through episode 3. So that's another way that I know that this shadow work is effective for me. This shadow work is for naught. It's not for naught. It is helping me. It helps me heal. And it's going to help me lead by example. It's going to help me motivate others to go through their healing journey in regards to their own maybe sexual assault journey. It's going to help so much. And not only that, it's going to help me energetically release. It's going to help me energetically purge of this whole situation, to have it behind me, to have you see me heal through this, and to, you know, come out better on the end. I told you guys before when I did the introductory video that this was going to be one of the hardest projects that I have ever done. And this is absolutely no fucking exaggeration. So without further ado, y'all, man, let's get into it, okay? So I'm 14, 15 years old at the time, and my friend and I, we just know we grown. Like, we are just doing we have no business doing for real. And that day we came home from school. I'm not even really sure if we were at school, if we had school that day, or if we were just kicking it. But needless to say, it was in the afternoon. I know it was after 3 o'clock. So that's why I think that it was after school. We got out of school at 2:30, home by 2:45, right? At that time, right? So actually we're out of school at 2:45, home by 3:15. So again, it's after 3 o'clock, no matter if we have school or not, okay? So I'm over my best friend at the time's house. And again, I'm trying to conceal identities and things like that during this whole project. So his voice is going to be distorted, and names again are not going to be shared. It's going to be bleeped out. So you won't know, there won't be any, I'm not gonna say any identifying factors, but if you don't know me, you won't be able to figure this shit out. Anyway, and that's not a challenge to try to figure this shit out. Just let it be, okay? Just please let it be what it is, okay? So I'm 14, 15. I'm at my best friend's house at the time, and we are getting wasted. I don't know why we're drinking. It was just something, we were bored, I guess. And so we just decided to just start drinking. I believe we were off some vodka. I don't think we had any moons. Actually, we did have Shine at the time because she had gotten it from her aunt. So we had some Shine at the time. So we were drinking moonshine. And not necessarily being a professional drinker, because again, we're 14, 15 years old. We don't know necessarily when enough is enough. And so we're just taking it, like we're drinking, we mixing it with stuff, and we're good. Like, we're feeling good. Next thing I know, I'm like, oh shit, like, I think we done drunk too much. Like, we need something to eat. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was one of those things where I was just like, yo, I gotta sober up, because this particular day we were taking pictures for the church directory. So I remember so many details of this day. Like, I remember this day like it was yesterday. Now, mind you, when people say that they remember something as if it was yesterday, usually, factually, there is something or some type of incident that happened that caused you to stop for pause and to create that specific memory that it's embedded, as to the point where you remember everything verbatim, and you know what I'm saying? You remember things as it was yesterday, right? So please keep that in mind. And you can look up that fact as you know, if you want to. But anyway, so I don't have my driver's license or anything at the time. And I think I was 15 because of this specific fact that my assailant had his driver's license, and he's a year older than me. So I called him up. Now, mind you, I've known him for literally all my life. I've never had a moment or experience where I really feel like we've known each other since birth. And you're going to hear me say that to him, which is why I was so comfortable hitting him up. Now, I am going to take accountability, because number one, I shouldn't have been drinking. I was too young. I shouldn't have been drinking like that. I didn't know what I was doing. That was dangerous anyway, right? Number two, I should have been more cautious. about the actions that I took after I knew that I was inebriated. Okay. I should have took my ass home. I should have did my little boiling bag turkey, because at that time they had the little boiling bag turkeys that you just boil and then you cut open, and the turkey with gravy is in there with my boiling bag minute rice and a canned corn. That's one of my favorite meals, y'all. I should have did that and called it a day and, you know, tried to sober up at home. Didn't do that. I needed something to eat. I wanted something immediate, right? So I called up my homie and I was like, hey, like, can you drop me by Arby's? Like, can we? Arby's was the shit this time. They still had their hot ham and Swiss. They had, you know what I'm saying? They had some stuff. Okay. So Arby's back then when I was 14, 15 was popping. It was not like it is now. Okay. Let's preface that. Okay. Let's get that out of the way. So I was like, yo, like, I'm hungry. I don't even know if I told him we were drinking. I believe I did, because I was like, yo, I need to sober up some. Can you take me by Arby's or whatever and get me something to eat? So he was like, yeah, you know, I'll scoop you. And this is not the first time that I've called him and we've kicked it, or that I call him and he's taken me to go get something to eat and brought me right back. This is not the first time that it's happened. So of course, again, like I said, I've known this man, well, this boy at this time, because he was only a teenager. I've known him all my life. So it didn't give me reason or pause to think that anything would happen or this day would be etched in my mind and that I would need counseling and therapy for this day. It did not dawn or occur to me that, you know, something like this, or he was capable of anything like this. So I called him up and he was like, yeah, sure, I'm gonna scoop you up or whatever. He came right through. Okay. Came through. And another thing that I need to note is I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have went with him, because him and my boyfriend at the time, who I ended up marrying, my boyfriend at the time, they did not get along. They hated each other, to be truthfully honest with you. But again, that's my homeboy from like literally birth. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, and to my boyfriend at the time's credit, everybody knew that he had a crush on me, but I didn't think that he would take it as far as he took it, for somebody who actually like really supposedly cared about me and fucked with me. And you know what I'm saying? Like, we've known each other since birth, and I absolutely adore his grandma. Like, we went to church together. We grew up like in the church. So I'm in the church. I'm naive. I'm not saying that just because you're in the church, you're naive. But again, I'm fucking 14, 15 years old, right? I don't have life experience. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing grown up shit that I have no business doing, but I don't have no fucking life experience. So, okay, I'm taking accountability for my fucking actions. So again, I should not have went with this nigga, because the dude that I'm fucking with, and we've been together for like a year and a half, 2 years at this point. This is the summer of this is the summer, but anyway, so I shouldn't have been fucking with the nigga, like, you know what I'm saying, like that at all. Shouldn't have asked him to come pick me up. And I knew also the other reason why I asked him to come pick me up is because my boyfriend at the time was working. So he couldn't come get me. He couldn't come take me to get anything to eat or bring me anything to eat. So like, I needed to sober up, because I'm going to church. You know what I'm saying? Going to church, taking a picture, go to church directory. That's gonna be in a book. Like, bro, gotta sober the fuck up. So he scoops me and we go by Arby's. We pick up food. I do remember now, looking back and, you know, talking to him about it, I do remember we did pick up food. At first, I couldn't remember when I was on the phone with him. I couldn't remember whether or not we got the food or not. But after digesting the conversation, I had 3 weeks to fucking digest the goddamn conversation. After digesting the conversation, I do realize that, yes, we did, in fact, get something to eat. Now, you can see here that I'm going in and out, right? Like, I can remember certain things, but certain things I can't necessarily remember. So I'm going in and out. So I'm fucked up. Okay. I'm in his car, fucked up. Now, you know, when somebody, especially somebody who is underage drinking, you know, when something ain't right, they're slurring, you know what I'm saying? You know, when I'm tipsy, I promise you will know when I've had too much. Okay. And at that point I have had too much. Okay. Like I'm slurring. Okay. So I've had too much to fucking drink. I don't know how we ended up from Arby's to his house. I don't know how he convinced me to go with him to his house. I don't remember any of that. All I know is, next thing I know, we're at his house, right? I remember walking through his house. I believe when I got out, well, when we pulled up, he said, from what I recall, he said his mom was home, and he was like, my mom's home, and you should come speak to her, or something like that. Like, you should come, because, you know, like I said, we've known each other from birth. You should come speak to her or whatever. So I'm like, all right, cool, you know, because I don't want to be rude sitting in the car while he's in the house, you know what I'm saying? Like, as me growing up, that's rude, right? So I was like, okay, you know, I'll get out, you know, I'll come in and speak to your mom, I don't remember seeing his mom in the house. I remember walking through the house and walking into his bedroom. I don't even remember sitting on the couch. Like, this is how you know, like, I'm fucking in and out of it. Like, I don't remember sitting on his couch. And then next thing you know, I remember, like, I'm in and out of it. And the first time I came to, it was like a really weird feeling, because I felt like, first of all, the bottom half of my clothes was off. I could feel that. And then I felt him in between my legs giving me oral. Now, I remember this distinctly because his tongue was so rough. And not only that, when he gives oral, he sucks real hard on the clit. I had never had that done before. So he sucks real hard on the clitoris, and it was really uncomfortable. It was not a good or pleasurable feeling. And I don't know for sure, but I promise you, I felt like he bit the clitoris a little bit as he was down there, you know, trying to give oral. I was so uncomfortable. And then I remember blacking back out. I remember coming to again, and he was kneeling, like I'm laying there, legs, you know, kind of open, and he's like this, you know, getting his stuff wet, getting my stuff wet, because of course, like I said, I'm uncomfortable with the oral. It was not something that felt good. It wasn't pleasurable to me. It felt like fucking sandpaper. Like, his tongue felt so rough. It was just, oh my God, it just felt so like, no. And so I'm like really uncomfortable. So the next time I come to again, he's again doing this, trying to get things wet down there. And he's, of course, kneeling up. And I remember seeing his member, his junk, right? It was light skin. It's not pink, but it was light skin, relatively light. It did have a few dark spots, like a couple dark marks on it. It was average size. It was small to average, I will say. It was medium to average. I'm not going to carry him like that. It was medium to average. Now, these details are going to be important later on. It was medium to average, and he was girthy, like really girthy. I don't think I've ever had somebody that girthy, somebody that thick, right? Mind you, I've already had sex before. In the last episode, we covered that. I've already had sex before, right? And at this time, again, my boyfriend at the time, we were intimate already. So I've had sexual partners. Before that boyfriend, I had I've had two different sexual partners during my middle school years. One was during like 6th and 7th grade. That's when my mom caught that motherfucking chocolate syrup on my floor. and the other one was between 7th and 8th grade, as you know. And going on to 9th grade, I met my then boyfriend in the 9th grade. So that's how that timeline went. So I was intimate, I was having sex. I was sexually active. Shouldn't have been, but I was sexually active. And it's so crazy. It's a wonder I did not get pregnant before I did. That shit was bound to happen though, as much as I was out there. But anyway, not as much as I was out there, because I was only messing with one person at the time. So it's not like I was hoeing, or you know what I'm saying, I was being a 304 or anything like that. Like I don't have 304 tendencies. I display some type of characteristic sometimes because but you know, at that time I wasn't. Now I've done, you know, evolved and got into my sexuality, all that. Anyway, so I black out again after he's trying to insert himself to penetrate. And he cannot get in. He cannot get in to insert himself into my vaginal cavity. And so it's hurting, right? So the next, I remember that, and then I black out. The next time I come to and I'm fucking crying, I'm bawling. It's hurting me, and he's continuously trying to penetrate me, and I'm not wet, I'm not loose, I'm not my body is basically rejecting him. It's not allowing him to do what he's trying to do. And so I wake up and I'm fucking crying my ass off. And at this point, this is when I start to really sober the fuck up. And he's like, oh shit. Okay. Now I recall, and this might have just been my drunken state, but I recall his mother knocking on the door and saying, get that girl up, like stop, because she's crying, get that girl up. Maybe it's because I've always been clairaudient. Maybe that's what the fuck I was hearing. But I heard somebody tell him to let me up and take me the fuck home. So he stops and he lets me get dressed and we go home, or he takes me home. I don't talk to this nigga again necessarily after that. Like I stay away from him. I told my boyfriend at the time that night what happened. Oh, he was livid. Okay, he was ready to fight, and that's the only time that I recall that man ever being ready to protect me in any kind of fucking way. That day, that is the only time that I recall my ex ever protecting me or trying to protect me or having the want or desire to protect me at all costs, right? And of course, nobody allowed them to fight throughout the years or anything like that. And one of the reasons why I'm actually doing this episode like this and I'm playing the phone call is because my ex, in his effort to be spiteful when I left our marriage, I don't even know if it was necessarily when I left the marriage, but I know it was around the time where we weren't necessarily meshing too well. He made the statement, it makes me wonder if that shit ever happened between you and blank. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you know, and you've seen me go through fucking counseling and therapy and talk about this shit. Like, bro, are you fucking serious right now? Like, really? Like, let's not. So I felt that it was necessary to do this. Okay. Again, more so because it's my shadow work and it's me working through everything. So the hard shit, okay? Me working through the real tough shit, not the surface level shit, but the core shit, okay? So that is the real reason behind this episode, behind this whole fucking project. I'm, like I said, I'm being vulnerable. I'm telling my fucking story. And I'm gonna do this shit unapologetically. I'm not sorry. I'm doing this shit unapologetically because if people were more cautious about their fucking actions and if they acted right, or if they did, if they acted or if they were upright, okay, we wouldn't be discussing this. So despite of whether or not people take accountability for their actions, I'm speaking on my experience, and I do take accountability for, again, what I put myself through, what I put myself, the situation that I put myself in. Now, no, I do not take accountability for his fucking actions. I take accountability for everything that led up to him being able to do what he did. Yes, because I had no business doing any of that I did. Okay? Not only am I taking accountability here with you, I did it in the conversation as well. So without further ado, now that you know my side of the story, let's get into the conversation. Okay? Now, I'm not going to hold you this conversation. One of the reasons why it took me so long to record this episode is because this conversation pissed me the fuck off, okay? It pissed me the fuck off, and we're going to get into that as to why the fuck this conversation pissed me off so bad afterwards, okay? So, let's do this. Okay. So, hold on, I'm going to start it over. Hello. Again, I distorted his voice. I changed his voice so that there's no identifying matters. That's what I said. I said you probably didn't even know. I think I said you probably didn't know the number. Oh, well, now I'm saying it. Whatever. See, this is why we got to wreck, because I swear to God, like, it's your mouth. Like, I'm the mean one, but it's your mouth. Like, what the fuck? I can't. So what's up? How you doing? I'm doing great. As you can tell, I'm doing great. Yeah. Big time, a little bit of everything. So, hard to catch up with. You said what? That's true. That's very true. Okay. So I'm opening up the call on a high note to make this man comfortable. I want to make him comfortable enough to talk to me. I want to I want him to let his inhibitions down. I want him to let his guard down, because he's had a couple of weeks to prepare for this conversation. I told him that I wanted to have a conversation maybe a week and a half prior to the phone call. So I wanted to make sure that he was comfortable. When you're on a verge of having a tough conversation, you don't want to start off hostile. You want to make that person as comfortable as humanly possible, right? So that is exactly what I was doing here. I was making him comfortable enough to have this talk with me, have the discussion. Needs to be had, because this conversation has been like 19, 20 years in the making, for real. So I kind of feel like it's a conversation that, number one, needs to be had, and number two, kind of helps me answer the question. You know what I'm saying? So the question that I'm referring to is, he hit me up and asked me, are we friends? I want you to know that even though I'm mean, I'm gonna try to be nice this conversation. No, but seriously, I want to be mature. I want to be open. I want to be honest.
I want a real, raw, honest conversation, right? There's no hard feelings for anything that has happened over the years, right? It's just, at this point, I think in our big age, there needs to be some type of understanding, right? So I could say it, no hard feelings. You know, I don't hold anything against you, you know, that we've gone through or, you know, that we went through, especially because 19, 20 years ago, we were kids. You know what I'm saying? So,
and I'm not lying here.
Like, kids going through dumb shit. So,
and that was, I had to have that understanding
I really
working through this.
Tell you that I appreciate you making time to have the conversation, first of all, because
now I'm starting to get nervous. You can start to hear my voice cracking.
Get up with you and all that other stuff. But again, like I said, it's just a conversation that has been 19, 20 years in the making or whatever. So, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get it started. So
this is how I talk to y'all. So y'all know this. I talk to everybody like this.
We crossed each other's paths or whatever. We've spoken to each other via Snapchat or something like that. And you know, it's been cordial or whatever. But in one of those conversations, we actually hopped on the phone on Snapchat, and I think it was at work when it happened, because I know I was outside on my front porch talking to you, and you was at work or whatever. And this was one of the, like, I think 2 or 3 instances where you actually apologized to me or whatever. You was like, you know, I really want to apologize to you for, you know, hurting you and things I've done, you know, over the years or whatever. And I don't know if I really truly accepted the apology. I appreciated it the whole time, don't get me wrong, but it was a matter of time for me that I needed some time to like really accept what you were saying. But then I kind of felt like I couldn't really necessarily accept what you were saying because you didn't necessarily not pinpoint, but like you didn't necessarily identify exactly what you were apologizing. That could be a few things, because like I said, we as kids, we was off the hook for real. If you know, we really think about it, we was off the hook. So one of the things that I felt like was, and I could be wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong, but it was for like the drama between your wife and I.
Okay.
So I was like, cause all of that, that was unwarranted. I honestly, on my part, it was unwarranted. I can't say it was unwarranted on her part because you have a man that you're in love with or whatever, and you know throughout the years, like there had been like, you know, crushes and this and that with, you know, but in the situation or whatever. And so it's awkward for her to accept a friendship or whatever it was, you know what I'm saying? And her not feel it. So, like I said, and this is me, because you know I popped off, me and your wife has had work. So this is me being real mature. But I understand her. Like, I understand all of that. So I'm not mad. At the time, I was like, yo, like, I don't even, like, me and him not even like that. Like, you're doing too much. Because she was doing a lot. But, again, after, you know, some growth and some counseling and therapy, and then me also being a therapist and counselor, you got to grow the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you got to realize, okay, you know, where she was at the time and where I was at. So like I said, I don't hold that shit against her because I understand. So that's one of the things or whatever. Do you have anything she wants? Because I don't want you, you know. Okay. Because I don't want to drive the whole conversation, you know what I'm saying? So you can't. But anyway, so anyways.
Hold on. Let me see something real quick.
So that was one of the things. But then now this is the real like meat and potatoes of our conversation.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop it there. So okay, first of all, like I said, you can start to really hear the nerves coming out of like my mouth. Like my nerves are starting to rattle my voice. It's starting to shake my voice because shit is getting real. Like I'm so nervous that I don't know how this shit is gonna go. Like we're about to talk about some real like crucial shit, and I don't know if I'm gonna get mad. I don't know if I'm gonna get emotional or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm completely vulnerable to this man again. I'm completely vulnerable to him again. Like I'm opening myself up to being vulnerable to him once again. So anyway, so I cut part of that conversation out because I felt like that's not what we were here for. I said some other stuff regarding his wife. So I cut. That's why I was like, let's get into the meat. I was like, hold on, let me stop, because I wanted to stop it before we got into the meat and potatoes of the conversation, so that you understood that I cut that part because, again, the part about his wife, we weren't there for. She wasn't his wife at the time, but he did agree that, you know, part of that apology was regarding his wife. Like I said, she wasn't his wife the entire time that they were together, or the entire time during the drama. Because remember, this all started when we were kids. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm on some somewhat, you know, grown up shit. Not even somewhat. I'm on some grown up shit. Like I had an understanding of where she was coming from. I made that known. You know what I'm saying? He's still currently married to the woman. Now he claims that they are separated and they going through their divorce process. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. That's on them. You know what I'm saying? That's not my business. But I needed to, you know, make that clear that, you know, I took accountability for my part in that. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm building a foundation because I want both of us, I wanted to lay a foundation of accountability, like taking accountability for our wrongs. You know what I'm saying? Now, if Miss Ma'am, okay, his wife, if she wants to, you know, hear or know what I said during the part that I cut off, I'm more than happy to send it to her. I'm more than happy to play it for her so that she can hear exactly what I said. I actually encourage her to reach out so that, you know, I can send it to her so that she can get the apology and she can hear it from me. She can get the apology and me taking accountability that she deserves. So again, if she wants to reach out, I'm receptive to that. I'm open to that. And again, I feel like the apology that I gave to him for her, it definitely deserves to be relayed to her. So I don't have a problem with doing any of that. Okay. So now let's go ahead and get into the bones of the meat and potatoes of the conversation. What we really here for.
Like, I don't feel like I'm not even like that. Like, you're doing too much. And she was doing a lot. But again, after, you know, some growth and some counseling and therapy, and then me also being a therapist and counselor, you gotta grow the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you gotta realize, okay, you know, where she was at the time and where I was at. So like I said, I don't hold that shit against her because I was. So that's one of the things, or whatever. Do you have anything she wants? Because I don't want you, you know.
Okay.
Like I said, I don't hold any kind of grudges or anything. I kind of want to unpack it. I don't want to.
Let's just go back just a little bit.
About 19 years ago. And I just kind of want to. I don't want to. Like I said, I don't hold any kind of grudges or anything. I kind of want to unpack it. I don't want to revisit it as like re-injuring a wound or anything. I don't want to revisit it or see it that way. I want to get some clarity, you know what I'm saying? Get some understanding, and then move the fuck forward. Because again, there's healing that has been done. There's counseling. There's therapy. You know what I'm saying? And we're not here to revert back. We're here to continue to move forward. That's where I'm at with the conversation. And again, we were kids 19, 20 years ago, so I hold that, you know, in the back of my mind, like we were kids and we did dumb shit as kids. So the first dumb shit that happened was, and again, I take accountability for my role.
This is me laying out the accountability. Foundation. I do it first, and hopefully you can do it as well, right?
That day, I recall me and she came home from school. I don't even know if we were at school or whatever, but we got together and we was drinking heavy. I think it was all moonshine and some other shit. And me and you had this rapport where, I mean, first of all, I don't even know when we introduced each other, like when we were introduced. For me, it's a thing of, I've known you since like birth. Because I've known you since elementary school age. I don't remember not knowing you, not knowing your family, none of that. You know what I'm saying? So
you said right.
I always have this foundation of, even if we, you know, we don't work, we have other people we're talking to or whatever, and we've had these crushy type situations between the two of us. And at that time, we had established that we were friends. Now, I knew that you still had, you know, some type of feelings or whatever. You know what I mean? I knew that, but we had established that we was friends. So off the faith of that, I'm like, all right, well, let me hit you up, because I knew that I had to go to church that afternoon to take pictures for the church directory. Like, I remember this fucking day like yesterday.
Now, I want to say my story never changes. Over the years that I've told my friends, because that's the only people that I've told are my friends. Over the years that I've told this story to my friends, it's always been consistent. It's always been this. It's never changed. Never changed.
I remember we had to take pictures for the church directory, so I was like, yo, like, I gotta sober the fuck up, because that shit, the alcohol hit quick. And we hadn't eaten anything, alcohol hit quick. So I was like, yo, I'ma call to have him come get us, to go take us to get something to eat. Well, I didn't leave the house. And the only reason I called you is because I was at work. So I called you, and this is not something that was like out of the ordinary. I called you before you scooped me, like you picked it, you know what I'm saying? You've taken me to get something to eat. You know, you've come to see me and this, that, and the third. So it was nothing like out of the ordinary, right? So
you said right.
You were supposed to take me to Arby's. So we go past Arby's, like not into Arby's. Like we go past Arby's and he was like, yo, like, I think you said you forgot something at home or your mom needs you or something like that.
Again, this part is a blur. I said that in the beginning. I couldn't remember whether or not we went to Arby's, but then after sitting with this whole conversation over the course of 3 weeks, I realized and I remember, yes, we did in fact go to Arby's. Okay.
So we went to your house and I was going to stay in the car because I'm like toasted, like for real, but your mom was in the house and I'm like nervous because I'm fucking toasted. Like I know I probably smell like alcohol and everything. Huh? Your mom was there.
Okay, let's pause it here. So he said nobody was there and that he remembers that day like it was yesterday. So I have a question. When you, as the audience, I've asked this, I've stated this fact before we got into all of this, okay? When you as the audience say that you remember a specific day, you remember it vividly, you remember it verbatim, doesn't something significant usually happen that day that you remember, like yesterday? Doesn't something significant usually triggers that imprint of a memory? Ain't that how memories are made? Like, come on now. Like this otherwise, it would just be an unfucking special day. Like it would just be any other fucking random ass goddamn day. But you remember it like it was yesterday. So something significant had to have happened for you to remember it.
Well, somehow we ended up in the house or whatever, and there was an encounter. Now, I remember being uncomfortable, and I remember you couldn't penetrate because I was uncomfortable and I was not.
So he cut me off here. He said, you were like, where was I at? Let's keep going. And I was like, what? You popped up like that.
We never even discussed that after.
All right, so let's stop that here. So again, here he says, no, you popped up and was like, where am I at? What happened? And I'm like, what? Like, I can't make out what he said in a certain part of that. But he continues to say that. I'm like, what? Where am I at? Like, what are you talking? What? And he's like, what are you talking about? What? He says something, and then he says, I popped up, right? He says, I popped up. So I ended up taking you back. We never discussed it after that. So y'all, please remember that he said that. He said that I popped up, and he said that he asked me what I was talking about. He asked me, what? What are you talking about? And he also ended up taking me back, okay? We never discussed it after that. So remember what I said that, because I'm gonna keep repeating what he said for him to confirm it for y'all, because I want y'all to hear him confirm what he's saying, right? So, because I'm like, okay, so he stops me. He stops me, but he never denies what I said in regards to the penetration. He never corrected me on penetrating. He never corrected me. He just said, no, you popped up. He wanted me to stop there. No, you popped up. Okay, I popped up, but again, you never corrected me and said you didn't penetrate me. You just said, no, I popped up. You didn't say, no, I did not penetrate you. You popped up and asked, where was I? Asked where you were. That's interesting, right? That's real interesting. So as you can hear, I'm going into what happened, and I'm being vague on purpose. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to tell everything. I don't want to necessarily tell everything that happened, because he might get defensive, right? Or worse, he might shut down. He might shut the conversation down. So I need y'all to remember what he's saying, okay? Because it's actually going to change when he tells his side, right? So he stopped me. He corrected me and said, no, you popped up and said, where am I? And this, that, and the third, right? Never disputed that he penetrated or tried to penetrate. Nothing, okay?
So you said, like, I popped up and I was like, where was I at?
Yeah, like you said something and then you came to. Like you passed out and then you came to. So he said here, yeah, it was like you blacked out and you came to. It was weird. Now, like I said, I couldn't make out exactly what else he was saying because it was kind of mumbled, as you guys can hear. And what I'm going to do is I'm trying to extract the audio so that you can hear the actual conversation. But he says, as you probably can hear, he says, or if you recall from the beginning of the call, I kept asking him to repeat himself because I couldn't understand some of the things he said. So that's how you know it was kind of mumbled for me too. Like I was trying to understand what he was saying. So yeah, but he, again, never corrected anything I said until I said that his mom was home. And I need you guys to remember that detail because these small details matter, okay? So he stopped me when he said nobody was home. He stopped me then. And then he said, when he stopped me and said that, when I said that,
because I remember like after the fact, like I think I remember like when I asked like where I was at, I started crying or something. So, but we never talked about the incident or whatever. And I just was just like, I kind of needed some clarity on the situation because I held a grudge and I was hurt and I felt the way behind it because after that fact, and the reason we didn't talk about it is because after that, and after the incident happened, your sister and stuff started calling me talking about, you better not say anything to anybody about any of this, if, no.
Okay, so we're gonna pause here real quick. He confirmed my memory of waking up and crying, but why would I be waking up crying, feeling uncomfortable, and then wake up again? So hold on. So why would first? Okay, let's go back. He confirmed my memory of waking up crying. So my thing is, why would I wake up crying if nothing happened? Why would I wake up crying if nothing happened, bro? Why? It just doesn't make sense, right? Hold on, I'm trying to get back to where I was.
No.
I'm almost there. Because I accidentally moved the cursor. Okay. But anyway, so I'm recalling after hearing that. Okay, so he confirmed my memory of waking up crying. Now, why would I be waking up crying, or why would I wake up feeling uncomfortable and then wake up crying again? So he confirmed that I popped up and said, where was I? Passed back out, and then I woke up again crying. I popped up again crying. So he also said here that the time of the incident, he wasn't speaking to his sister. Now, there was a female that called me and was adamant that she was his sister. So I had to swear on that because I'm not about to be like, you know what I'm saying? I only deal in facts, like nigga, like no.
Family, she didn't know what she wanted to fight me for. Like it was a lot, and I was just like, yo, like what the fuck?
So here he was saying that he doesn't think that either the person that I mentioned was upset with me because he was beefing with both of those ladies at the time. So he claims that no, there's no way they could have called you. No, they did.
And I don't know. I mean, it could have been somebody playing like it was her or whatever, because I didn't know the number. I didn't recognize the number. I know it was a female, but like they called, they threatened me, and they was just like, if you know, if I ruin your chances of going to the NFL, this, that, and the third, it was gonna kill me. Like it was a lot.
He was a jock. He was a football player in high school.
I was just like, what? I was just like, what the fuck is this? Like, so I just kind of wanted to talk about the situation because you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I needed some type of clarity or some type of understanding. But it was just like it was a lot.
I wish we wouldn't talk about it at all, but we never heard food.
Okay, so here he was saying that he's sorry that I felt like that, and he was sorry for what I experienced after that because he had no knowledge of it. He said it was a weird situation for him at the time because he wishes that he would have, we would have talked about it. We could have both gotten clarity, and had we had a proper conversation. But listen closely to what he says next. Okay, so first thing he said when I started the recording back is, I didn't even realize you were drunk. You didn't tell me that. I remember talking to you. We did grab the food and then we went to the house. We went in the room because that's how I know my mom wasn't there. We went straight to my room. But who the fuck just comes out and says they're drunk when they're trying to like act normal, my nigga, like for real? And I really don't ever really truly like announce when I'm drunk. But that day, you could tell that I was fucking inebriated, bro. You could tell. There was no way in hell that you could not tell that I was fucked up, that something was not right. I was not fucking normal. I didn't even walk normal. I couldn't even walk straight for real. Especially when we got to his house. I remember that because he led me to his room. Okay, let's go.
Okay, I started kissing you, going back on the bed, like, man, where am I at? And I just came to, like, out of something. I was like, what? Then he started crying and said, I took you back home.
Okay, so now we're getting into his detailed account. And he said that we were in his room on the bed talking, and he started kissing me. He started kissing me. Then he said that I laid back on the bed, and then I popped up. And he was like, what? I popped up and I asked, where am I? And he was like, what? So let me get this straight. You were kissing me, according to his account. We went to his room. He started kissing me. He said that. He started kissing me, and then I popped up. Well, honey, if you started kissing me and I popped up, wouldn't something have had to happen? Wouldn't I have to have had passed out in between you kissing me and me popping up? And some people refer to oral sex as kissing on you. So that's another thing. I'm not sure if that's what he refers to it as. Again, we are grown adults now. I don't know his lingo. We have not had any type of real conversations in, again, almost 20 years, right? So I'm not sure if that's what he considers, you know what I'm saying, oral sex. It could be, right? It could possibly be. But anyway, so according to his account, he's kissing me, and then I pop up and I ask, where am I? Okay? And then he says, he's like, what? What? And then he says, then I pop up again and I start crying. So, sir, there's gaps in between when I'm popping up. You're not talking about me passing out. And honestly, my thing is, there's gaps in between you kissing me passing out, and then me coming to. There are gaps, my nigga. There are gaps. My story is literally the same as his, but my details fill in his gaps. You know what I'm saying? What were you doing while I was passed out? You didn't just sit there. You didn't sit there. You didn't nudge me. You didn't try to wake me up. You didn't do any of that, because you would have said that. If you remember the day like it was yesterday, you would have put those details in there. You would not have omitted that. People don't pass out drunk and are only out for literally a couple of seconds, as he stated in his version of the story. Usually when people pass out, it's either you out, or you're out for like a minute and a half to 3 minutes, and then you're coming to, right? So if you really think about the time lapses between him stating that he kisses me and me popping up, and then me passing out again, and then me popping up crying, he doesn't have anything in between me passing out and popping up crying, right? I fill in those gaps for y'all.
No, I was with the time because it was sophomore year, and I was going into my sophomore year, and he didn't like you, and he wanted to fight you that day. So I was at the time, but I kind of was like, I don't know, after all these years, I kind of was like, did it happen because I know you and like each other, so I didn't know if that was like part of the equation, or like what was what, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just, I don't know, it was just weird.
Okay, so that's basically the end of the conversation because he changes the conversation. At the end of his statement, he's like, yeah, it didn't have anything to do with you and your ex because we had our own issues, da 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 da. So he tried to deflect to that part of the conversation. At this point, I had enough of the conversation because number one, you're not taking accountability. Number two, you're not telling the truth. Number three, there's gaps in your story, bro, man. Like there's fucking gaps in your story. Tell me how it is that you're kissing me and then I'm popping up and I'm not privy to where I am. And then you never state that I pass out again, but then you say I pop up again crying. Why would that be? And now, don't get me wrong. I know some people are emotional drinkers and emotional drunks or whatever. So it could be a possibility that it's just me acting out emotionally, right? No, not with the details that I filled in, not with the details and the time lapses that you can tell he omitted. Okay, like I said, when you pass out, you're in and out for about you're probably passed out for about a minute and a half, up to 3 minutes. Okay, so what are you doing? There's a lot of things that you can do within 60 seconds. Okay, there's a lot of things that you can do. 3 minutes is a whole song. Think about it that way. 3 minutes is a whole song. You can give oral to somebody for a whole entire song. So if he's giving me oral and I'm popping up and I'm asking where am I, and he knows, okay, look, she keeps coming or she's going in and out. So I only have a small window of time to get my shit off. So I'm not gonna waste my time down here because it's not doing anything for her. I'm not wet. I'm not getting wet. I'm not none of that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not lubricating from his oral sex, nothing, right? So, you know what I'm saying? Your version, it makes sense, but it doesn't because you have gaps in your times. Whereas I fill in that whole time space. And it's crazy, like again, I said, because I've had 3 weeks to, consider or ponder over the details that he gave and the details that I've always known, right? And so I've always known this for several years because like I said, I have had to unpack this with counselors and different things like that. So I've told this story countless amount of times. I recount this story, okay? So I know the details to this story. And again, too, if you've never sent me any type of penis photos, any type of videos of you pleasing yourself or anything like that, any type of intimate photos as to where I could see your penis, how do I know that your penis is medium to average size? It's a little on the lighter side. You do have a little blemishes on your penis, not blemishes as in like he got something, but blemishes in like dark spots because it's skin. You know what I'm saying? Hyperpigmentation type dark spots. You know what I'm saying? How would I know that? How would I know that you're not long, but you're girthy as shit? You're girthy. How would I know that? If I've never seen your member, how do I have such fond details of your penis? How do I know how you give oral sex? How do I know that you suck on the clit real hard? How do I know that you bite the clit? How do I know that? I don't talk to anybody that you've been intimate with and you were with your wife since high school, and I've already established in the beginning of this video that me and your wife did not get along. And that if she wanted to hear my apology because I haven't talked to her. So I wouldn't know, she wouldn't exchange that type of information with me, right? To make sure my mic's still on. But how would I know these details? How would I be able to fill in gaps that you omit? I kind of wish that I had said something earlier because maybe it would have stopped you or stopped him from continuing this behavior, because it didn't stop with me. He was actually removed from college and did some time because he sexually assaulted other females, not just one. So it's a pattern. But not only that, you have learned, or he had learned, how to omit certain details from his court cases. He had learned to remove his wrongdoings from his stories from when he was fighting cases. So it's no wonder that you think that I don't have the details in which I have. And that's another reason why I didn't go fully into detail and told everything that I recounted or remembered while he was telling his side of the story. Again, I didn't want him to shut down and shut the conversation down. Right? So that's my story, y'all. That's the story. He confirmed everything in which I said, except for everything that absolved him of any wrongdoing. In a sense, while he told his story, he omitted his wrongdoing. That's the verbiage. He didn't correct me or deny my versions of the story, except for that his mother was there. That's the only rebuttal or conflict that he had with my story. Funny, huh? Right. Again, at the end of the conversation, he diverts the conversation to his relationship with my ex. That didn't matter. So, like I said, I stopped the video because this is long enough anyway. But I am so proud of myself because this is one of the hardest conversations that I've ever had to have. And one of the reasons being is because it pissed me off so bad because of the lack of accountability and the lack of honesty, the lack of truth, the omission of truth so that your version of events can be deemed as true. It pissed me off so bad because I laid out levels of me taking accountability in so many different ways. I gave it to him. I wrapped it up in a fucking gift and put a bow on it and was like, yo, just take accountability. I gave him outs. I was like, yo, no hard feelings, no grudges. We're just having an honest conversation. You know what I'm saying? With the understanding that we were children and things happen when we're kids. We make young, dumb decisions, which is very true. And that's why it was, I'm not going to say easy because it was not easy to forgive, but understanding that we were children and we had no business doing a lot of the things that we were doing. So, you know what I'm saying? I do and did take accountability, and I gave him room to do the same, and he fell short. He could not do that. And for that reason, it pissed me off so bad. It's like, bruh, we can have the conversation. Just admit to what you did. Like, let's really do this and really move the fuck on. Let's really heal from this shit. You're not ready to heal from this shit. You're not ready to heal from the shit that you've done in your past. And that's a problem. Here we are in our mid-30s, almost 40s, and you're still having an issue with facing your past. It's sad. But I'm not where he is. I'm in a very healed place, and I can talk about it and I can tell my story. And again, I am so proud of myself for this. I'm proud of myself for finishing this shit out because this shit really put me on my fucking ass. This shit really disturbed me to my core. This shit really, it really put me off kilter. It knocked me off my square real bad. It created depressive episodes that I hadn't had in years. But I fought through it. I worked through it. And this is why shadow work is important. Because look at me now. I prefaced this video thinking that I may have, I may get emotional during the video and during, telling of my story and everything. But I stood here in strength. And I'm so proud of myself for that. I stood here in strength. I stood here in confidence. And I still show compassion and empathy for him. Because it's a sad thing when you can't face your past, because that means you haven't moved on from it and you're still there in some aspect. And I hate that for you. All right, y'all, this is going to be the episode. I'm not gonna say I hope you enjoyed it, because what's enjoyable about hearing, you know what I mean? But I really hope that it motivates somebody to tell their story, or come out with their story, or speak up, or really work through their moment of sexual assault if it has ever happened to you. I hope that this encourages somebody to speak up and speak out about what has happened to them. Even if it's within the statutes of limitations and you want to do something about it legally. I'm to the point where I believe it's already past the statutes of limitations, but I'm to the point where I've worked through everything and I've healed and I've watched him receive his karma. I feel like he's received his karma for myself and for others. And there's a stigma to him, for real, with people knowing that he's done these things, that he's been convicted of things of this nature. So I really feel like in the end, I've won. You know what I'm saying? And it's not to say it's a win-lose type situation, but I feel like out of all things in this regard, I came out triumphant. I came out okay. And I hate to say this, but I had to experience this so that I can help somebody else out there. And I can be your vision of confidence. And I can be your vision of motivation to speak out. And I can be your, I could be what drives you to do what's best for you when it comes to healing through your assault. Okay? So again, this is going to be this episode, y'all. I will see y'all in the next one. This was a doozy, okay? And I'm so glad it's done. Oh, let me show y'all, because this has been like energetically super heavy. It's been energetically dark for me. I buy roses every 3 to 4 weeks. My roses usually last me about 3 to 4 weeks. But since me having the conversation to today, which was 3 weeks, I have had to buy 2 or 3 sets of roses, because it's been so strong and so depressive energetically here, because I had been going through this and trying to get through this episode. My roses have been coming out like this, and I bought these last week. They have not been lasting. So this one actually lasted a little longer than the other ones. Actually, I bought this like a week and a half ago. So this one has actually been lasting a little longer, which lets me know that I'm on the other side of that energy, which lets me know that the energy in here has lightened up a whole lot, because these would have bloomed much faster and these would have started drooping. So it just lets me know that I have worked through it and I am on the other side of it. I may have to, do some fine tuning here and there later on when I go through another round of shadow work. Shadow work is never ending. Don't let anybody tell you that your work is finished when it comes to shadow work, because it's not. There's always levels to this shit, okay? So yeah, y'all, I mean, this shit has been so energetically heavy on me, and I am super happy that this episode is done. It's over. Bye.